The City of Neenah is pleased to provide video recordings of City Council meetings. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents from the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or completing the electronic feedback form on the city website. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited.
And then before
All right, we'll call this meeting to order and begin with the roll call.
Alderman Bruno.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Linsky.
Here.
Defferding.
Present.
Paulnow.
Here.
Ellis.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
And Steiner.
Here.
Alderman Erickson, if you'd lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance
All right. We have a proclamation, National Public Works Week, May 17th through the 23rd. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the city of Neenah. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, employers at all levels of the government and the private sector. And whereas public works professionals are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other infrastructures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children of the city of Neenah to gain knowledge and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Brian Borchard, Mayor of Neenah, Wisconsin, do hereby designate the week of May 17th through the 23rd of 2026 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. National Public Works, signed and sealed on this day of May 20th. All right. I'd like to just, again, echo that as well. Public Works Department sometimes has kind of a silent job. You notice them when they don't do it, and when they do it, it's kind of they just do it because that's what they do every day. So I just want to extend my appreciation for the little things that happen when we're not necessarily always looking. So, all right, there are no mayor's appointments. So the approval of, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes proceedings of May 6th, 2026 of the regular session.
So move. Second.
There's a motion. And hold on 1 second. Okay, voice vote on that. There was a motion by Alderman Paulnow, Alderman Ellis, and a second by Alderman Paulnow. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, clearly passes. All right, moving on to our public forum. Speakers should provide their name and residential address, not mailing address, and are allowed 5 minutes to speak on any topic they wish. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak? Come on down.
Handout as well.
Sure, if you'd like to start it there or either side.
10 copies. I didn't really
Okay.
talk about the department heads
Sure.
and stuff, so,
If you want to kind of, maybe we can share.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm Martin Schrampfer from 1234 Maple Street in the city of Neenah, lifelong resident of the city of Neenah. I'm here tonight to hopefully provide an explanation to the council that seems to have been lacking regarding the e-bike ordinance that is proposed. I'm going to start with explaining that State Statute 340.01 defines what an e-bike is. Specifically, it is a bike that has a motor limited to a certain size. It is governed to a certain speed in the low to 20-mile-an-hour range, and for the most part requires that the rider pedals while the motor assists, as opposed to an electric motorcycle or electric motorbike that you're seeing nowadays that have speeds in excess of 40 miles an hour, can be bought online by juveniles, and are the real root cause of the concern, I believe, that generated the interest in the e-bike ordinance. Let me back up a little bit. State statute e-bikes, defined e-bikes, are specifically allowed under state law to operate anywhere a bicycle can, with very limited exceptions. Mountain bike trails are the main thing. These electric motorcycles are considered motor vehicles and already are not allowed to be ridden on sidewalks, trails, or streets. You cannot ride them on a sidewalk or a trail because they are considered a full motor vehicle. You cannot ride them on the street because they have to be registered, and because they do not have a federal safety certificate, they cannot be registered in the state of Wisconsin. What this all means is these motorized bikes that many juveniles are tearing around on high speeds and creating dangers and problems are already illegal and shouldn't be ridden on any public right-of-way. We don't need another law restricting us law-abiding e-bike operators when we already have laws addressing the unsafe situation. What we need is a process of education and warning, followed later by citation if necessary, for those people who are not following the current laws on the books. My e-bike has been a godsend to me. I routinely take it from my house and I ride the Loop the Lake Trail around the point and back home. Those of you that know me know nothing's a short story, so I'm doing my best to keep things short. A myriad of health issues the last 4 years, including one 2 weeks ago. If it wasn't for my e-bike, I would not have been able to get out and improve my health riding my e-bike around town, state park trails, wherever. The bikes that are the problem are already covered under state law adopted by city ordinance. We don't need to start going after those of us that are being responsible, safe, and following the law. Attempting to keep it short, the only other thing I don't understand, and some of you may have remembered the email I sent the other day. Last summer, my grandson, who was almost 3, was visiting. I took my little utility trailer, put some cushions in it, put a helmet on him, took him for a ride. 3 weeks later, he shows up at my house again for a visit, runs out in the garage, grabs the helmet, and says, "Grandpa, bike, Grandpa, bike." I can't do that now, because for Christmas, my kids got me an actual child trailer for my e-bike. So I can't hook that trailer up to my e-bike, pedal around town around 15 miles an hour with my grandson on the back. But I can get my old Trek pedal bike off the rafters in the garage, hook the trailer up to that, and ride around town with him at 15 miles an hour. And that's safe and legal, but the other way is unsafe. Again, we don't need this ordinance. The laws are there, they just need to be enforced. Before I retired from a neighboring community, I routinely stopped kids, this was before e-bikes, those electric razor scooter things, tearing around, I'd stop them. Say, "Hey, I'm sorry to be the Grinch, but you can't ride this on the sidewalk or the street." Follow them home and explain the law to the parents. It's considered a motor vehicle, so it can't be on the sidewalk, and it's not registered, so it can't be on the street. You can only ride it on private property. That handout, I apologize for the quality of printing at the bottom. I came across that graphic this morning online, and it kind of gives a visual of the different types of bikes. I didn't realize the fine print at the bottom was hard to read. If anybody wants me to email it to them, I can. But that clearly shows a visual of what is legal and what is not currently legal in the state of Wisconsin. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schramka. Okay, come on up, yep.
Hello, I'm Lynn Biederman, 1350 Green Acres Lane in Neenah, and I have been a Neenah resident all my life. I'm 72 years old, so I've lived here 72 years. And I do have, why did you move forward with this with no community input? And how do you define a trailer? And this gentleman over here has some of my talking points already. And I'm retired and live basically on Social Security. My husband and I both. And I do not like wasting gas, especially at the price of gas. And I like to get my exercise by riding my e-bike. It's a safe haven for me. I have had 4 back surgeries, arthritis in both hands. I am going to need a knee replacement eventually. And you expect me to walk my 65-pound e-bike on a sidewalk when I cannot even open a jar or even a plastic soda bottle because my hands just do not work. And I'm supposed to push that 65-pound e-bike on a sidewalk, which to me is idiotic. And it's the death. And why punish the real e-bike riders when the illegal ones are the ones that should be being punished? You know, I had a lot more to say, but I get very,
You can take your time. You're okay.
I get, you know, but it's like, I feel like I'm being punished for people that should be being punished. And why were we not told about this and get input from everybody? It is legal in Wisconsin, like this gentleman said, to own an e-bike. And for us that are old, I can't ride a bike. I can't even ride uphill on a bike. And that's my form of exercise. So just my input. Thank you very much.
You're right. Thank you, Lynn.
Hi, I'm Sarah Moss. I live at 615 Hanson Street. I emailed the council, the mayor, the police chief over the weekend. I'm not going to repeat the whole email verbatim tonight, but I did want to briefly summarize my concerns. I understand the goal of addressing unsafe riding, especially with scooters or reckless behavior, and I fully support that. However, some of the accompanying restrictions seem to go far beyond addressing unsafe behavior, and I'm really disappointed in the impact they'd have on many people's lives. As written, the ordinance appears to be prohibiting towing a trailer on an e-bike, and if I'm misunderstanding that, I would be happy to be corrected. But as I read it, a parent using a regular bicycle could tow their children in a trailer to parks, school, the library, or other places around town, while a parent using an e-bike apparently could not. The same concern applies to people who use bike trailers for other practical purposes. I personally used a bike trailer to take my dogs for rides and to go to the grocery store and haul groceries home. Not only do bike trailers allow people to run errands in a more environmentally friendly way, with gas prices being so expensive, a bike and trailer might be some people's only means of transportation. Is it really the intention of the city to make it harder for people to reduce transportation costs or live a healthier lifestyle? I'm also concerned about how practical this ordinance would be to enforce. For example, I own e-bikes. What happens if I'm riding one with the battery turned off? Am I treated differently than someone riding a regular bicycle, even though we're traveling at the same speed and pedaling the same way and the same stretch of trail, sidewalk, or road? And if I'm stopped, how would I prove whether the battery was on or off? And is this really the best use of police time, stopping riders who are commuting to work, running errands, or exercising simply because they're riding a bike with a battery? If the issue is unsafe behavior, then the ordinance should focus on behavior. Speeding, reckless riding, failure to yield, or riding unsafely around pedestrians. It should not be simply based on whether a bicycle has pedal assist. My biggest concern is safety. The ordinance appears to prohibit e-bikes on sidewalks, even when there's no bike lane and the street does not feel safe for riders. The new Commercial Street bike lane south of Winneconne Avenue is wonderful, but not every road has that. Not even all of Commercial Street has that. I often bike to the Y, and I would not feel safe riding in the road between the Y and Winneconne Avenue. I don't even feel safe crossing the street from the west side of Commercial Street to the new bike island by the right turn lane there. So there's no way I'm going to ride in the street there. Oak Street's another great example. There's parking on one side of the street, and the street is already narrow because of that. Adding bike riders into traffic lanes when drivers are already moving around parked cars does not feel safe to me. It feels dangerous for riders and drivers. I respectfully ask that you narrow the ordinance so it targets reckless or unsafe use without penalizing responsible riders, parents, commuters, and families who use e-bikes and trailers as a practical means of transportation and enjoyment. And I just wanted to side note, just tonight before I came to the meeting, my dog and I turned over 1,000 miles in our little cart e-bike. You might have seen me driving around town in that thing. So it was a very expensive bike, and I really don't want to have to stop using it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Anything else or anyone else for the public forum? Sure, come on down.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Aaron Roker. I live at 605 Elm. Neenah graduate and proud Neenah resident. I had a chance to take a peek at this ordinance, and looking over it, I want to commend you and thank you for thinking of the safety of our residents. Though I have to mention, as the others have, it does seem a bit short-sighted and without the scope and the thought that really is needed for something like this. This problem is really nationwide and statewide. And I commend you for working with the local communities, Fox Crossing, Menasha. As you might know, Menasha did not go forth with the ordinance currently, and I commend them for that. What we're seeing is a patchwork of communities trying to solve a problem. And that's a good thing, but what you're creating is a headache for the individual that wants to utilize an e-bike in their lives. I've wrote down a few things that I'm most curious about, and I hope that you're thinking about too as you move forward with this discussion. In its form, you will be cutting off access to myself and many others to our downtown. I don't imagine that we want to have less people in downtown Neenah. It's one of the things that is so wonderful about our community is our downtown, the water, the parks, the trails. They're phenomenal. They bring people here, and I don't think we want to dissuade them from doing that. As you're probably aware, that would have a negative impact on our area businesses. It also would have a negative impact on our image and on our reputation, which I, for one, am not for. As others have noted, I'm most concerned about passengers on e-bikes and trailers. I have a 6-year-old son, and I rode here this evening on our cargo e-bike, not to one-up anybody, but we just turned 3,000 miles on that cargo bike. My son has not been on all of those miles, but, excuse me, a lot. This morning, my wife usually rides with him to school. He was visibly upset when she told him that they needed to drive because she had a meeting. It's a sense of joy. It's freedom. It's in the best interest of our community, of our environment, of our infrastructure. It allows those that do need to drive the ability to do so with one more, two more, many more available parking spaces and opportunities. As the gentleman who first went, I do believe the real issue at hand here is e-motos, which was not designated or mentioned in the ordinance at hand. These are bikes that are all over the place, that are fast, may or may not have pedals, are capable of doing the things that an e-bike cannot do. As an educator, we're always asked what the goal is and how do we get there. I would encourage you to ask yourselves, what's the goal of our community with e-bikes? And when you have that goal, work backwards on how do we get to achieving that goal. I don't believe that this ordinance is going to get us to that goal. With less people in our community, a bad image and set of tone, it's not going to get us there. Many others that have come up have asked about enforcement. I think that that will be very difficult for us to do too. I had the concerns as well on not only if the e-bike had the battery on or off or removed, what are the thoughts on that? But further to the point, e-bikes are looking more just like regular bikes. And being able to discern one from the other is not as easy as one would think. My last little bit that I wanted to bring up before I'll relinquish my time is the thought of if this does go through, and namely, we don't want e-bikes on that small section of our downtown, where are they supposed to go? Will the infrastructure and the education be provided to them in that said time? And with that, I'll relinquish my time, and I thank you again for your work. I thank you for thinking of the safety of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. All right. Anyone else further for comment?
About 2 weeks ago,
Can you do your name? Could you do your
my
name?
name is Raymond Yankee.
Thanks, Ray. And your address, Ray?
203 Joseph Court. Okay, but 2 weeks ago, the scooter came out of coming from off of Bird Street. These scooters that are electric and driven. He was coming out pretty fast. This is about the third time I've been through with scooters too. Not e-bikes. E-bikes are nothing. There's nothing wrong with e-bikes. Just the scooters, these kids and going on the sidewalks and everything else. They've been going from the house to the corner and back. They're dangerous as much as anything else, and that's my version of. But the e-bikes are not a big problem for me. Okay.
Thanks, Ray.
Hi. I'm Dennis Kittle, 410 Craft Street. I'm president of Fox Cities Greenways. Fox Cities Greenways is a volunteer organization, nonprofit in the area. Our mission is to foster the development and preservation of trails and green spaces in the greater Fox Cities area. We are 31 years old. We were established in 1995. We were the group that started the conversation about the Trestle Trail. I think I can boldly claim that the reason we have the Loop of the Lakes and the Trestle Trail is because Fox Cities Greenways started advocacy for trails in the region. If you take any major trail in the Fox Cities, we have been probably engaged with that. We write grants, our members donate money, they donate thousands of hours of volunteer work advocating for trails and also safety of those trails. So we're very concerned when we see these topics come up. By the way, we're also holding significant funds as a nonprofit to develop the trails in Carpenter Preserve in Neenah. So today we're actively looking at that. Speaking tonight because of the agenda and the ordinance 2026-07, respectfully encourage the City Council to either pause consideration of the ordinance, return it to committee, or return it to staff. As somebody else had mentioned, Menasha has returned this to staff on Monday when the same ordinance came up. We're deeply disappointed Fox Cities Greenways and other stakeholders were not involved in the conversation with this or given the opportunity to share our perspectives. Our members have invested thousands of dollars and countless volunteer hours in developing, and we also have countless thousands of dollars in residents who have invested in e-bikes. And so, this is a concern. The Post-Crescent article is what generated a bunch of calls to me. I've been asked by bike shops, by our members and other community members to come and speak about this issue and the ordinance and what it addresses and what it does not address. Really, I think the things that got people going was Alderman Paulno's comments that the new ordinance is intended to address the more egregious situations where e-bikes and e-scooter operators are running 25 to 30 miles an hour on the sidewalk. Well, like other speakers said, that is out of the practical range of an e-bike. An e-bike classification is designed to make the performance of an e-bike like the standard e-bike, as other speakers have said. Class 1 and Class 2, the motor cuts out at 20 miles an hour. After 20 miles an hour, it's all you. You're pedaling that e-bike and pushing it forward. Class 3 can go up to 28 miles an hour, only with pedal assist. Class 2 is the only one with throttle, and it's that throttle that really drives this issue. So in perspective, if you are riding an e-bike at 30 miles an hour, it is all you. A Tour de France professional rider rides at an average of 26 miles an hour. You ought to stop that person and congratulate them on their physical condition to take an e-bike that fast. So what is it? It's what others said. These are e-motorcycles that we're seeing. What the bike shops told me is that they estimate 20 to 40% of what we think is an e-bike and what's driving this complaint system are actually e-motorcycles. 20 to 45%. And what they estimate this on is because people bring them into the shop and 20 to 40% of their business is denied. They will not work on these bikes. They are ordered online. So they're fast and people get a thrill out of them and they're driven by a throttle and they look like bikes. People are ordering e-motos online. They can go up to 50 miles an hour. They look like a fat tire bike. People modify e-bikes. They buy conversion kits. You can buy an app which will disable the speed limit on a legal e-bike and turn it into a non-e-bike. It is no longer defined as an e-bike. It is now defined as a e-motor bike. Look it up, Super 73. Look it up online. You can buy one. It's a Class 2 e-bike. It has a throttle. You get it home, you turn it on, you go to the display, you hit mode, and you hit disable. That bike can now go 30, 35, 40, 45 miles an hour. You bought it as a legal e-bike, and it can hit speeds that are very undesirable. Why? Because you can do that legally on private land. They market them that way. You buy them online, and you can do that on your private property. You can ride that fast. But with a touch of a button, it goes from a defined e-bike to a defined e-motorcycle. Menasha, the fatality, the bike, Super 73. They don't know if it was operating as an e-bike or if it was operating as an e-motorcycle. And they'll never find out, I don't believe, with the condition of the bike. So these e-motorcycles are not included in the ordinance. It's what we're concerned about. They're creating this issue, they're creating the complaints, and the responsible e-bike operator is getting blamed and getting penalized. It's like the evil twin pointing to the good twin. you know? So we do see these penalized. The other thing on the ordinance that drew a lot of comments to me is Chief Olson, who said if there's a section of the Loop of the Lake Trail where we need to put signage up because complaints, then we can do that. Well, without discussion, without conversation, without a defined process, there's nothing in the ordinance that says, I can do this and I'm going to include comments and such. In the Menasha discussion, it was pointed out by their legal person that the ordinance does not assign responsibility for a person to do that. So nobody is assigned the responsibility to decide a sign goes up. It has to go to a default process. In Menasha, that process is it's got to come back to council. Only council could make that determination. So anytime you want to put up a sign to restrict an e-bike, you got to start back from ground zero, and you got to go through the whole process again in every single case. So that's another aspect of it. The third is that technicality that I brought up in my email, and on helmets. Helmets, 1994 federal law said that all helmets have to meet CPSC 1203. CPSC is Consumer Protection Safety Council. And this is also known as 16 CFR Part 203. That's the current standard. When that standard was into law in 1994, it basically obsoleted ANSI. ANSI does not meet that criteria. It's a lower standard. The other standard, Snell Memorial Foundation, is higher. B90, B95 certifications are higher than this federal standard, but because the federal standard went into full effect in 1999, Snell discontinued the certification process. A Snell certification lasts 10 years, and so almost all Snell Foundation, Snell Memorial Foundation certifications have expired, and the last couple that are out there, so you can't even buy a helmet, or it's very, very rare that you can even find a helmet that meets this specification, but the last ones expire on January 1st, 2027. So then all Snell Memorial Foundation certifications have expired and are no longer there. So really we should just be referencing the CPC SC 1203 certifications. ASTM, if you reference ASTM F1447, that's voluntary. So helmet manufacturers don't have to follow that. It's equal to the federal law, but you'll buy a helmet and it won't have that designation on it because they don't want to pay the cost to have it certified. All they have to do is certify against the law. So if you go with ASTM, you're just limiting the number of helmets that are available for a person to buy that are completely qualified. So our recommendation is to please return it to staff and engage the stakeholders. I kind of feel like my thunder was lost by all the support. On Monday, I was the only speaker. But Fox Cities Greenways wants to protect the trails. They want everybody to have a positive experience on the trails. And we do want to eliminate these 40-mile-an-hour e-motorcycles. So we'd like the opportunity to add that to this ordinance if it goes forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. Any further? I know we normally limit it to 5 minutes. I forgot to start the timer on the first two, so it wouldn't be fair. No, Dennis, we're good, really. No, seriously, I'm sorry about that. So I just wanted to make sure. So I want to make sure everyone's got their voices heard. Any other comments or questions on public? Okay. Seeing none, we'll close the public, the public forum, and then we'll move on to the mayor council consideration of public forum issues. So is there anyone from council that would like to address some of the issues that we heard today, or any of the questions that some of those have come up from? Alderman Palma?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to address my comments. I don't, in regard to e-bikes, e-scooters, I don't know a thing about them. I just know, and Dennis had educated me somewhat. It's a big universe, apparently. I didn't want to have a bunch of e-bikers around my house they're going to rough me up or anything, so I don't want that happening. I just am, what I would like not to have happen in our community, I think everybody would agree, whatever the conveyance is, the ones that zoom by my house on the sidewalk, 20, 25, 15, even miles an hour, that's my goal, is to eliminate that safety hazard. So I definitely think it's a good thing to maybe readdress this and add some things as well.
Any further consideration of the public forum? As you'll see, we'll be addressing some of the concerns you have when it comes up to public safety report, so hang
Mayor.
tight. Yes.
May I?
Oh, sorry, I'm looking for people raising their hand. I have a
That's all
screen
right.
in front of me. Alderman Ellis.
Thank you. I agree with Alderman Paul Note. I thank you all for coming tonight. One of the things that conversation with the police chief, with our city attorney, actually started last year. And we had concerns. And the reason why we spoke to them and said, what can you do? Is because we all saw this as a very serious issue, as you have presented tonight. Our role, for those of us who are working on this, is to make sure that this is not political. And I'm sure that you don't want it political either. We're looking at safety first and safety always. Whatever position, as Alderman Paulno said, we will work to tweak whatever we can. But our bottom line goal is to ensure the safety of everyone. As an example, I've seen many folks riding on the e-bikes. My friend Marty has popped over to my house on his e-bike, and I know that it's done him very well. And conversely, just last week, there was a 5-year-old girl bombing down the middle of our street by herself. Mom and Dad were not around, no helmet, car coming. I grabbed her. I walked her home. I told her parents, and they cursed me out like they're like 7 ways of Sunday. And my response to them was, you can hate my guts, but I saved your daughter's life. Have a nice day. I say that because this is a bigger issue. We haven't had these bikes 20 years ago. And we can have stage 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and whatever. And I've seen most of the folks, real like yourselves, doing it for the right reason. But we need to come up with something, because honestly, today we have nothing that we can wrap our arms around, that our police departments collectively within the various cities can do. So we're working diligently to come up with something that will not appease everyone. And we understand that. But our bottom line goal here is the safety for everyone. So whatever comes out from Menasha, or potentially from Neenah and the other communities, please understand that it will probably not be the last tweak to an ordinance, that we will learn, as you've said, as we've heard from our friends with the trestle system, there is a lot to learn. There truly is. However, we had to start someplace. My perspective as one alderman, when I spoke with our police chief and our city attorney last year, along with my other 2 co-aldermen from that district, was please look at this from a safety first standpoint. And we realized that whatever we do come up with is not going to make everybody happy. It's not going to make everybody perfect. There may be parts of the city where we're going to request that a motorized bike walk, as an example on Wisconsin Avenue in the business district, to stay off the sidewalks. There might be some areas outlined that we're going to say no to, or that we will say yes to. I know that the police chief said they have a myriad of helmets that they would be happy to share with the community. So it's not that we are taking this lightly, and it's not that we haven't looked for your input. But from our perspective, we requested our city attorney, our police chief, and those to reach out, especially with the other communities, to see what has worked from a baseline. And then in time, we'll probably have to tweak it again and again, because I'm sure just as you have care and concerns, whether you traveled 1,000 or 3,000 or 25 miles on your bike, we all want the same thing. We want safety for the citizens. So with that, we will do our darn best to make that happen. But please realize that we also will come to terms with the fact that what we do come up with will not appease everyone. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, any other further considerations of the public forum issues? Okay, seeing none, we'll close those. Moving on to the consent agenda. Is there any objection to unanimous consent of the consent agenda? Seeing none, passes. On to our reports of standing committees. The regular Public Safety and, Services and Safety Committee meeting May 12th, 2026. Alderman Weber.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting out on the Public Services and Safety Committee meeting from May 12, 2026. Minutes can be found on the city website. Committee recommends Common Council enact Ordinance 2026-07, regulating e-bikes and e-scooters and mandating helmet wear by those users under Section 16. And I would make a motion that we postpone this until the next council meeting, which is June 3rd.
There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Second. There's a motion and a second by Alderman Ellis. Alderman Weber?
Thank you, Mayor. Now that the motion is out there and that we're going to postpone it, I don't want to reiterate everything that Alderman Ellis said because he, articulated it very well. But my concern is we have nothing right now, no ordinance right now, and I understand folks feel that, maybe there are laws that govern this, et cetera, but we don't have an ordinance within the city, and it's important to get something out there, and I think everybody should understand things can change. It can be revisited, it can be tweaked, and we're not going to please everybody. So I just want to make sure that you do understand it's safety first, and that's the reason that we're moving forward. It's not to inconvenience anybody, but it's to go after the safety first. Thank you, Mayor.
You bet. Alderman Paul now.
Thank you. I'm just want to comment on the process. I think it's important. A lot of times in this situation in the past, we had referred stuff back to committee to allow staff time, and in this, for instance, to get input possibly from the city of Menasha, who we've been working with on this, and maybe from the Village of Fox Crossing. So my concern with just the process of putting it to the next council meeting is what came out of committee in reference to what we have in front of us is, if you consider it X. Any recommended changes by the chief or the city attorney, we would have to, as I understand process, we would have to bring what came out of committee, and then we'd have to amend that on the floor of the council. Now, which kind of is why I think we usually send stuff back to committee so that we could recommend any suggested changes, give us time, and then recommend that out of committee as a whole new ordinance in essence, and then it would come back to council. So this process seems a little concerning to me because it's only approximately 2 weeks away. Does that allow enough time to coordinate with, because I guess the goal, as I understood it, we definitely wanted to have 3 units of government have the exact same ordinance. And my fear is if we don't have enough time to do that, we have different ordinances in different communities. So I guess the question to the city attorney is, my explanation on the process, if we just put this in the next council meeting, we would have to read out what originally came out of the committee and then amend it on the floor with any suggestions. Is that correct in process?
You could do it that way. You could even do it tonight if you wanted to, and that's why I had provided some fairly minimal corrective, if you will, changes to council earlier today in an email. I provided the hard copy to your dais place tonight. Interestingly enough, they address many of the concerns that we heard from the public, trailers, children, pets. Can't operate them on sidewalks while they are under power. That's a significant change that I made. So those things could be accepted tonight and voted upon. We thought a middle way would be to just bring it back in 2 weeks at the June 3rd, given the fact that you have been provided what's being suggested, and that was with input from my counterpart over in Menasha from her experience on Monday night. Okay. Their council recommended that she, staff person, tweak these things, and so based on what I learned from that, what I learned from some citizen comments, aldermanic comments, that's what drove the few but important changes that are before you tonight. But this gives all of you a little bit more time to look at them, ask questions of me, of the chief, whatever you want to do. But yes, you could refer it back. We got to deal with the motion that's on the floor now. But I didn't feel that it was necessary to go back to committee when the changes were so few and fairly responsive to the input that we've gotten.
The one thing I would ask, though, does those change? I don't think they recognize the e-motor situation. I guess I didn't even know there was e-bike, e-motor, you know.
The e-motors are, it's a good point, and the chief of police can chime in here if he likes, but they are already regulated by state statute, and they are treated as vehicles. And we have apprehended people that are riding these, and we treat them as motorcycle riders.
So we're covered in that arena already?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Defferting.
Thank you, Mayor. I was one of those that voted no on this when this first came to committee, and we're seeing plainly why I voted no. Is because we did not get enough feedback from the community, and we didn't get enough feedback from the stakeholders. We didn't get enough feedback from the e-bike sellers and e-bike users. And this is a perfect example of why I think it would be important for us to have more discussion on this. When it comes to something like this, we have to have a consensus. We have to, this goes back to like the basics of government, is that you need to have consent of the governed. And it's very clear to me that there wasn't really any consent of the governed here. We need to have a better discussion with the community first before we pass this. So personally, my opinion is this actually falls back. I feel that this should be put back to the Public Services and Safety Committee rather than Common Council, because that's actually the focal point of that's the focus group for this particular thing. And furthermore, I do think that we need a little bit more time. In my personal opinion too, and this is just one idea that I have too as part of this ordinance, is that we could look into just simply changing it to imposing a flat speed limit on sidewalks, something like at 10 or 15 miles an hour, so that that could allow some flexibility for something like that. Again, this is not something that I think we should have. I just think that this is an idea that we could propose to a lot of the e-bike users out there. So I think that this, in my personal opinion, I feel that this should be sent back to the Public Services and Safety Committee, particularly for the June 23rd meeting, rather than on June 3rd for Common Council. With that being said, I will, I'll go ahead and vote for this to be put onto the June 3rd one, but I still think that it'd be better for us to have it on the Public Services and Safety Committee.
Alderman Ellis.
Thank you, Mayor. And just to expand a little bit more on what I said earlier this evening, I would like to begin by asking our city attorney, David, because I know that you were a driving factor in this, and you worked with other municipalities, you worked with our police chief. If you could kind of give a little education snapshot to how you came up to this recommendation and to where we are today, please.
Sure. This is an approximation, but I think about a year ago, a group of us met out at our PD, representatives of Fox Crossing, Menasha, ourselves. Later, we involved Appleton as well, just because we wanted to be, they were a little ahead of the game and don't share the Trestle Trail with us, but they were involved as well. And so a group of us met as attorneys, law enforcement, and parks folk. And we all decided that something needed to be done for safety concerns, especially. I want to point out that because there's this theme that's running across many of the comments tonight, as well as emails that we've gotten, that somehow we're banning these or we're making it so that people can't ride them. That's not it at all. It's basically saying you can't ride them on the sidewalks when they're under power. That was one of the changes that I added today, provided to you folks. You have to walk them if you're in 2 blocks of our downtown. That's it. You can't drive crazy, the recklessness, too fast, trick riding, those types of things. And with one of the changes I made today and suggested to you folks is that we would allow the trailers that are approved by the ATSM standards so that you could have children, pets. Some have suggested cargo. That's probably a decent, friendly amendment that we could consider for June 3rd. So those are the things that we did. The problem with these devices is that they're not motorcycles and they're not bicycles. And our legislature, in their wisdom, recognized that and have authorized cities to legislate in this area. That's all we're doing. So that we provide our police officers in these communities with tools to monitor these things and stop people, talk to them, educate them, give them helmets, these types of things. It's not intended by our police department and neither by Menasha nor Fox Crossing to be heavy-handed with this or to make it difficult for responsible use and riding. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. It does. Thank you. And my final comment on this is that, and again, the reason why this is the direction that I think is the right one for us to take is, as an example, as an alderman of one of 9, since this has come to light, I've received several comments from various people who have read this and said, I think we should do this, I think we should do that. This would be easier for me, this would help me with my child. So, and it went across the spectrum. All good points, all valid points. I came back to, in my opinion, folks, that there are basic rules and laws, and that's why our legal department and that is why our police department, we ask them to start from that infancy base ground and to make it non-political, because this is an emotional issue for many people. I understand this. I have a brother that owns 2, and it has also helped save his life from heart conditions that he had. So I respect that and those opinions, but at the end of the day, the place to begin this process, and again, I say begin because in time, we're going to learn that this needs to get changed or that may need to get changed. But my confidence from an alderman of 1 lays with our police chief and the other department heads. It lays with our city attorney and their group to bring forward what is a solid base that hopefully doesn't hinder anyone. It might make some alterations. But at the end of the day, you can sit back and say, okay, Neenah really tried to protect us and our children. And that's where I'm coming from. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Alderman Steiner.
Thank you. I had an opportunity to preview some of the changes that Attorney Rashid had referenced in coordination with the feedback from Menasha. And I feel like many of them addressed the concerns that were emailed and the concerns that were raised today. I'm in favor of the postponement until June 3rd for the next council meeting. I just would like more opportunities to review it. And the lens that I'm looking at it from, I'm in favor of making sure that we have elements of safety within this ordinance. I also will be looking at it to make sure it's not overly onerous and is not punishing individuals that are safely riding their e-bikes. I recognize it clearly as a vehicle of transportation for many individuals, a source of joy for many people with their children or with their pets. So from my perspective, I'm very much in favor of safety, but I will be looking at and evaluating that there's not kind of unnecessary restrictions that would block that. But I do think, based on the preview, not to put the cart before the bike, so to speak, that it does appear to address many of the concerns that you've already raised. So I appreciate everyone coming here and speaking your mind on that. Thank you.
Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question for Chief Olson.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I have a question. Based on the information that we were handed out tonight, how hard is it to enforce whether or not somebody is pedaling or riding by battery? If you have a police officer that is patrolling an area and you see somebody going really fast, how do you know that they're using the battery versus just, how do you enforce that?
Yeah, so it's a good question, and it's kind of a simple question. It's just going to be obvious.
Okay.
Are they moving their feet or not? If the officers see that the feet are not being moved, then that's a valid traffic stop. If we're pedaling, then they're not going to be pulling them over unless there's other circumstances involved.
My opinion on this is I'm looking out for the safety of the kids because I see them driving down Bell Street, not stopping at intersections. You know, most of the people that spoke tonight are adults, and they are, you know, using the e-bikes as they should. But I see a lot of kids use them incorrectly, zipping through intersections. A few weeks ago, I was at the middle school, and I had a student that had a cast on. And I said, "What happened?" And he said, "Well, I broke my collarbone and arm as I was riding on a e-bike." And I said, "Well, did you have a helmet on?" Fortunately, he had a helmet on. Unfortunately, he was right-handed and couldn't do anything because he could not write or draw or do anything with his hand for the rest of the school year. My concern is I live on a corner and I see kids zipping through, not stopping at a stop sign. And I'm sure that the adults that spoke tonight follow the rules and, you know, are doing what they should be doing. And it's going to be an education process for kids and their families to do everything correctly. I also saw one young man, probably about 12 years old, stop at the stop sign with a helmet on, look both ways, and go. I mean, it does happen, but that is the rarity from what I see.
Right.
So
right, and you know, bicycles were invented in 1817, and there were no pedals, and people were very upset based on news articles. Pedals were introduced in 1860. People were very upset. They were scaring the horses, scaring the pedestrians on the street. It was a problem then. Now we're in e-bikes, right? And it's a big issue. We've talked about this all the time. We have the same police staffing that we had in 1971. So what is that? Teacher, mayor, orchard. It's more than 52 years because I'm 52.
50 plus years.
You know, our officers, we wrote this very thoughtfully. We wrote this so that we could protect the citizens, but not set up our officers for failure. For example, riding on the sidewalk. We are not going to be able to have a radar gun on the sidewalk for somebody going 10 miles an hour.
No.
Can't happen, right? We are not cutting off access to downtown. You can ride your bike on the street downtown. You just can't ride it for 2 blocks downtown because people are walking onto stores and getting hit by people on bicycles. So I could go on and on, but this was very well thought out. Will it change over the years? Most likely. We are only going to be stopping those who are egregious. Just like our speeding in the city. If you talk to any citizen in the city, their street has the worst speeding. If you talk to any citizen in the city, the e-bikes are the worst in their street. We have 3 police officers working right now. One's probably at the hospital for a call. One's probably at the jail. That leaves 1 officer working. We are not going to be stopping people unless it's egregious. Just like speeding in our city. If it's a 25 mile an hour zone, we're not pulling them over for going 26 or 27, right?
28.
Or 28.
Just checking.
Right?
Asking for a friend.
Because why?
Just
it's
your case.
unreasonable, right? It's unreasonable. Our officers have common sense, right? There's a threshold here, all right? We're not going to write in the statute that, the municipal statute that we're going to allow you to go 19 miles an hour and not pull you over. It's unreasonable, right? So everything in here, again, was thoughtful. You can ride downtown. This is not going to be a popular comment, and I'll probably get a lot of hate mail for this, but it's true. We put a lot of time into these things with a lot of people. And if we surveyed 27,000 people in the city, we're going to get 27,000 responses back. That all could be all different. Everyone has an opinion. And while I respect everyone's opinion, it is unreasonable for us. It would take us years to write one ordinance if that's how we did it. We write the ordinance to the best of our knowledge, skills, and ability and experience with a lot of really smart people in the room, a lot smarter than I am. And if it has to be fixed and tweaked in the future, we fix and tweak it in the future. But we could beat this horse to death for weeks at the next Public Safety Committee and then back at the next council and have 20 more people come to complain about what we fixed, and go back to the Public Safety Committee, and so on for the next year. So let's accept this after these revisions, and if we need to fix it, we can absolutely do that at any time. As far as us putting signs in a location we're having a problem, it's the same as a speed limit sign that we move when we're having problems in the city. If we're having speeding on Elm Street, we can put a portable sign up. I'm not going to come to the council and ask permission. That would be unreasonable. It would make no sense at all. And the same for these portable signs or signs for e-bikes. If we're having a problem in a certain area, why would we not just put up a sign to help educate people and hopefully curb that behavior and set our officers up for success by narrowing the scope of where they're going to be for said problem? Because again, we don't have that many police officers working at any given time. Very few. People are shocked when we tell them how many police officers are working, right? So, sorry. Is there any other questions?
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Any further discussion? If not, we will be voting on the ordinance 2020-07, regulating e-bikes and scooters and mandating helmet wearing by those users under Section 16 to postpone until June 3rd council meeting. All right. No more comments. Please indicate on your voting device. All right. Passes unanimously. Back. We'll see you back here in 2 weeks with those changes. All right. Thanks. Great discussion, folks. I appreciate it. That's kind of how it's supposed to work. So moving on to regular Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of May 11th, 2026. Chairman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting out from the Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of May 11th, 2026. Item number 1, the committee recommends council approve conducting a market review in the amount of $22,950 with Cottingham and Butler, and I so move.
Here's a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Paul now. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion? Oh, sorry, Alderman Paul now, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Barber, can you come and explain this briefly and give us an estimated timeline of when you think it would be started and completed?
Sure. What we're looking at is a market review of our salary plan, which compares us to other municipalities and their positions to confirm whether we are meeting the market with our recruitment efforts and the current pay of our employees. So this is different. There are multiple ways to work on a salary plan. This is simply an update based on market. This is not reviewing every job that we have based on the points and what grades we put them in, which we have sometimes seen. So this is a smaller study. We are hoping to start this as soon as it passes. So within the next month, we'd be ready to go to start looking at the market. Sorry, what was the other piece of that?
Just start and end. When would you think you'd be finalized?
So I assume we'll have data back in the fall. We need it in time for budgeting because this would need to be budgeted. Any impact would need to be budgeted for 1/1 of 27 if we choose to act on it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any further questions? All right, seeing none, indicate your vote, please, on your voting device. Motion passes.
Item number 2, the committee recommends council approve the First Amendment to the Edgewater Door Development Agreement, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, second by Alderman Bruno. Any discussion? Alderman Paul now.
Thank you, Mayor. These are ones that I think are exciting, should be talked about more. Director Netforth, can you give a little explanation of what this this development entails and how it's a good thing for the city of Neenah.
Absolutely. Edgewater Door is actually working on constructing a new facility out on Schultz Drive. If you go out there today, you'll see there's a lot of dirt being moved. They have an early start permit, so footings and foundation is going in. They're going to be constructing, I think, about a 45,000 square foot facility. They're currently on Western Ave, so they're going to be moving to the new facility and look at moving their production out there, and there is room for expansion also. So the city sold them the property back in 2023, and they are moving forward with it. So we're really excited that they're here. This amendment is really just to formalize an adjusted timeline. They're started, so they've met the benchmarks, so we're in good shape. But it's just nice to have this recorded and formalized, so in 20 years somebody can understand what was happening.
Thank you. And one question, were there, I think originally they were talking about adding a number of jobs as well?
They are adding some jobs. Obviously, they have some existing staff here, but they are looking at adding some jobs with some new equipment and processes they're looking to do.
Thank you. That's awesome.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, please indicate your vote on your dice. Motion clearly passes.
Item number 3, the committee recommends council approve the proposed capital project carry forwards from 2025 to 2026, and I so move.
Motion by Alderman Erickson, second by Alderman Bruno. Any discussion? Alderman Paulnow.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been, every year that we talk about capital carry forwards, has been a spot for me that I think we could make gains on debt. And I've talked at length, so I understand a lot of these things better with Director Rasmussen as far as what we can and can't do with bond counsel. So with that being said, I think there's a total of 5 carry forwards here I've spelled out that I was going to make a motion to channel that dollar amount to lowering our debt package when it comes in the in the fall. And I can spell out the carry forwards being land assemblage, utility pedestrian trail and street reconstruction to 11, the 2 that are for North Pond Design, and then Bell Street. And I can explain exactly why my reasoning is for putting that out there to help our debt, basically our overall debt picture, to lower our borrowing required. And then the reasonings why I think we can maybe say not now, but doesn't mean not ever for these items. So I guess I would make that motion. And then upon a second, I would explain more details in regard to the carry forwards.
Okay. Let me just clarify this with Attorney Rashid. We have a motion on the floor currently. Is it an amendment to the motion, or can another motion be brought up inside that motion before?
No, if the motion that was originally made and seconded, then you'd have to make a motion to amend.
Okay.
Then we would second that. If that were seconded, then you got to vote on the odd amendment. And once it's amended, you'd come back and vote on the original one as amended.
Okay, then I would have to make, it would be a
Amendment to the motion.
amendment to the motion as spelled out previously. And I can, the total dollar amount would be $845,690 aimed at lowering our debt.
Second.
And then I can go through, explain that right quick.
Hold on 1 second. So we have I'm going to make sure that we're catching up here. We have an amendment to number 3 that we are going to, let me make it clear if you want to, did you get that? Yeah. Okay. Got that. Good. Awesome. Do you want to speak on that first before that? Who wants to first?
I would like to first.
Yep.
The reason, I identified these 5, and this isn't, because all these carry forwards that I'm speaking of were borrowed monies from 2019 to 2023. So some of them are 7-year-old borrowed monies, some are 3 going on 4. I think these projects doesn't mean they wouldn't ever happen, but I think the immediate need, since we're looking at $20 million potential of borrowing, this is just a creative approach to lower that total this year and reassess things moving forward at CIP and/or budget time. The land assemblage, I picked that. That's in TID 10. We're not doing the parking ramp. I didn't touch the parking lot construction renamed at this time because Director Nyforth has potential ideas for that utilization money. The utility pedestrian trail and street improvements, that's money that was borrowed in 2023. That's TID 11, and it's a very strong TID, so I don't think we'd have issues on reborrowing money in a future CIP. The North Pond design, that's $250,000. That's been borrowed since 2023, so we've been sitting on the money for 3 years because we have done 3 stormwater ponds in that time, and so it's not like Director Kaiser hasn't been busy, but this would allow us to, use that to lower borrowing. We can always address that in the future. We still are waiting on our stormwater plan that Director Kaiser is working on, and then Director Kaiser, his services will only be available in August. So, the odds of that happening in the short term are pretty slim anyway, and we can always recapitalize that in the future. And then the last one is Bell Street Utilities, and that has been borrowed money since 2019, and I always dial for dollars every CIP time and talk to Director Kaiser twice on this. And I know in a perfect world, yeah, we maybe keep that money, but there's also the concept of negative arbitrage that Director Rasmussen has talked to us about, which means if we have borrowed money too long, I'll let her explain it, but it's not good. So she's smarter than me. So that's my amendment to this motion, and the total amount will be $845,690. And I would definitely as well ask Director Rasmussen for input on what I just explained.
Thank you very much, Alderman Paulno. I do agree, having money since 2019, we have been paying interest on that money. That would be like if you went and bought a house in 2019, but you didn't get the house, but you're paying the interest on it. This was all here when I got here, and I do agree that when something does come to fruition, I can then borrow at that time when we do have something to pay for with it. I did talk to Baird about this type of thing with taking away these carry forwards, and they said we can reallocate it to a different CIP project. So that is something we could do to lower the borrowing for this year to get more on track. So it does make sense in my mind, just because we're paying interest on something we're not using yet. And I wouldn't do that at home, so I don't like doing it here. If that helps. And then the arbitrage, if we do have monies and we are paying interest rate, but if we're earning interest higher than the interest we're paying, that can be arbitrage, and you could get a penalty if you are holding that too long.
Alderman Defferding.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Rasmussen pretty much took the words out of my mouth about some of these carry forwards. This is a great time for us, an advantage for us to be prudent with our debt and prudent with our dollars, and it allows us to actually focus on more immediate needs, because obviously we're going to be meeting about one of those immediate needs pretty soon. And so this will allow us to have a much better clarity with our finances going forward with this. So this is why I hugely support this. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the amendment to the motion? All right. Reminder, we are voting on the amendment to the motion. Please indicate so on your voting device. Motion passes. Moving back to the original motion as amended. Any further discussion on that amendment, or excuse me, on that motion? Alderman Paul.
Thank you, Mayor. One other question. We had in that last Finance Committee, we had the fourth quarter capital information provided. Thank you, Director Rasmussen. I think I've been asking for that for a while because it tells us kind of a snapshot of where we are at the end of a fiscal year, or not end of a calendar year. And so I don't know if it would be allowable to make motion, or we just wait till CIP time, but there's a lot of projects that were completed, and there's basically, for simplistic terms, there's a delta of money left over. So my question would be, is it allowable to make a motion at this time in regard to that fourth quarter monies is a total about, and I can explain it if it's an allowable item, it's about $400,000 of delta money that's left over from projects that are completed. My motion would be to also put that towards lowering our debt. So I guess if that question.
Ask her first, or do you want to make the moment?
I guess, the process would be, I guess I'd ask Attorney Rashid, because what's on the agenda is carry forwards. This isn't really a carry forward, so I didn't know if that would.
Yeah, I wouldn't be comfortable with our taking that up now, but we certainly can put that on the June 3rd or some other agenda.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I'm working right now on what the borrowing is going to look like.
Okay.
So if we want to talk about that at the next finance meeting, I have to have the numbers to Baird by Friday. Then we can talk about what fund balance, and I know exactly what you're talking about, the streets, in public infrastructure fund balance that we would have access that we could use towards our borrowing. And then we could bring that up then.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So back to the proposed capital project carry forwards as amended. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please indicate on your voting device. Oh, hold on. Sorry. All right, you're all good now. All right, motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 4, the committee recommends council approve the proposed information systems restructuring as detailed in Director Schrader and Director Barber's memo dated May 11th, 2026. And I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, second by Alderman Bruno. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, please vote on your indication on your voting device. All right, motion passes.
Item number 5, the committee recommends council reclassify the mechanic assistant to a mechanic and to create a lead mechanic position, and I so move.
There's been a motion and a second by Alderman Erickson, a second by Alderman Bruno. Any comments or questions on that? Seeing none, please indicate your vote on their device. Motion clearly passes.
Item number 6, the committee recommends council approve the internal equity increases for 4 employees, and I so move.
There's been a motion by Alderman Erickson.
Second.
And seconded by Alderman Bruno. Any discussion on this? All right. Seeing none, please indicate your vote on your device. Alderman Bruno?
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. All right, motion clearly passes.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you for your report. Reports on special committees and liaisons and various special projects committees. Regular Plan Commission, Representative Alderman Erickson for the Plan Commission, sorry. We got a little.
There's no report.
There's no report. There we go. I didn't see it below. I was looking, concentrating on who would be reporting if there were one. All right, Board of Public Works. They're only informational items, so there's no report. Report from the Business District. Alderman Bruno.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Business Improvement District Board met yesterday, Tuesday, May 19. New this year, all board members will visit businesses downtown in person with a questionnaire to get feedback from them. The Alta Alley is in progress and should be ready for the summer season, so just have a look on regular basis. We also did a new analysis to compare our Neenah Small Business Survey with the Main Street America Fall 2025 National Survey. And as a result, Neenah Small Business Community is outperforming national Main Street trends with a strong growth and a unique experience-driven business mix. It's not really a surprise. We know that we have a really vibrant downtown, right? Save the date. So for our next downtown events, June 10th, the summer kickoff concert, and June 13th, the farmers market opening day. And that concludes my report.
Thank you for your report. The Library Board meeting, Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting out from the Library Board meeting of May 20th, 2026. The youth summer program is in full swing. People from the library have been visiting schools throughout the community, talking to the students about signing up for the library program, and the sign up has been going very, very well. We are on pace to outdo last year's turnout for summer library. Summer lunches will be available for 3 weeks in June, and we will take a break during 4th of July week and then return through July 31st at the library. And I would like to highlight this statistic. The checkouts at the Neenah Public Library in April were 44,514 compared to the Oshkosh Library of 35,555 and the Menasha Library of 17,404. So we are doing very, very well with our checkouts. There have been 19,474 library visits, and there's a lot going on at our library. Please visit the Neenah Public Library website if you have any questions about programming or information. And as always, please check out some books. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Alderman Erickson. Alderman Defford, did I miss you?
Yep, I did have a question regarding the bid board, Mayor. So I had a question regarding the zoning code steering committee. What was spoken about at that meeting regarding that?
We just had the kickoff meeting this week and met with stakeholders. So really, it was an opportunity to just have a general conversation about our existing zoning code, what we think needs to be improved, what we want to see with it. Our next things that we're going to be promoting is public outreach. We're going to have public informational meetings, a survey online, so you'll all be invited to that, of course, and receiving information about the surveys. And then we're also going to be having a joint plan commission and council meeting too to talk about it. So really just the kickoff this week.
Okay, and in regards to that steering committee, I guess who's on it?
We have, let me go look quick who was invited. We have some folks that really work with our code. So we have some local architects that are on it. I am on it. We actually have former Director Chris Hayes, my predecessors, on it. We have also some, I'm just trying to look who else was on it. We have some developers on it. We also have somebody from the bid on it. And we have our Plan Commission rep we have on it. And Council President Steiner is on it also.
Okay, I was going to ask if there's anyone on council that's on it.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
Okay, and is there like an estimated time when they plan on meeting? Has there been anything called yet?
As far as?
Just like a meeting regarding this, the committee, like a committee.
We met on Monday.
Okay, but the next one?
Oh, the public meeting or the steering committee?
Public and steering.
Okay, steering committee probably won't be till late summer when they get us some information to go through. Public meeting will be coming up in June. I don't know the exact date, but we will get that to you so everybody can put it on their calendars.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yep.
Alderman Paul now.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to ask that as far as the next time the steering committee meets, will you let us know via email?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. On to Alderman Erickson, Arts Council.
Thank you, Mayor. The Neenah Arts Council met on Wednesday, May 13th. We are in the midst of planning for all of our summer activities. For the first farmers market that we will be at, which will be, let me just check that date on that. There we go. Will be Saturday, June 27th. We will have a lighthouse theme, and we will be promoting the lighthouse event, which will be in August. We will also be at Community Fest and a variety of other events throughout the summer. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Alderman Erickson. On to Alderman Bruno with the landmarks.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Landmark Commission met on Wednesday, May 13. Following our previous meeting with Jason Tisch of the Wisconsin Historical Society, who came in Neenah to discuss some historic topics with us, the Commission decided to move forward, first, to update our historic preservation ordinance, second, to clarify and study the process of having local landmark designation, and third, to apply for grants for a new historic property inventory. News also, we will sponsor this year a historic tour on Wisconsin Avenue with horse-drawn wagon tour to replace the canoe ride on September 12th. And that concludes my report.
Thank you for your report. On to presentation of any petitions. No petition. Any council directives this time? Alderman Paul now.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce the directive directing staff, namely probably Director Kaiser and Director Rasmussen, to develop a policy on rate evaluation for stormwater and sanitary sewer rates to be done every 3 years with come to committee and council for review and approval. This, I think, just would, before Director Kaiser leaves, we have the new person, this would codify that we do that on a timely basis, which hasn't happened historically.
Second.
So I will definitely be working with Director Kaiser, and we've already talked at committee a couple times on this, and then Director Rasmussen as well, and then bringing the information forward.
There has been a motion to direct Director Kaiser and Director Rasmussen to put together a policy on stormwater and
Sanitary sewer rates evaluation for every 3 years to be brought, then committee and council review and approval.
Yep. As far as the direct, it did. Yep. Okay. So there's a vote. There's a motion and a second, and it'll be on the June 3rd agenda. So thank you. All right. Any other council directives? Any other unfinished business? Any new business? Okay. Seeing none, we will adjourn. Now, with those that are waiting in the audience, well, I'll ask for an adjournment, but I just want to make sure we'll be moving into a committee as a whole to discuss the Freedom Meadows and Freedom Acres situation, and Council President Steiner will be taking over that. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion is by Alderman Paulnow, seconded by Alderman Linsky. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
The City of Neenah is pleased to provide video recordings of City Council meetings. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents from the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or completing the electronic feedback form on the city website. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited.